At the beginning of this year, I challenged myself to build and launch 6 products in 6 months. And in my previous video, I kind of went through why I'm doing this and the criteria that I'm going to go through before I decide to work on a product. In this video, I'm going to quickly go through what I built and launched in January and why I built it and kind of the results from the first few days after launching it. So the product that I built is called Subcaster, and it's a super simple website for comparing podcast tools side by side. So I'll just click through here so you get a better idea. So here's a list of all the most popular podcast hosting services, and you can quickly compare the pricing and the features side by side. So yeah, super simple product, and I'll just go back to the criteria that I outlined in the first video and kind of go through how this fit into that. So obviously the first piece of criteria is that it had to be something I could build in a month. And January was especially busy for me, so I wanted to make a product that was not technically challenging. So the time-consuming part of building this was actually, going on all the service websites and finding the details about them. But I wanted to make sure that what I was building wasn't something technically difficult because I didn't have any time to get stuck, essentially. And this fit into that pretty well. So the next bit of criteria was that the product had to be useful on day one of launch. So it couldn't be something that was only useful after I added features in the future. And I think this fits the bill. If you're looking for podcast hosting, this should be useful for you, essentially. The next bit of criteria was about kind of demand. So I wanted to make sure it's something that people were already searching for, or there was some sign of demand for something like this on the internet. And I did a bit of keyword research, and people do search quite frequently for, best podcast hosts or this host versus that host. There's a lot of searches for microphones and like which is the best podcasting microphone. And another area I researched was on Reddit. So on the podcasting subreddit, there's probably a question every month or two about, which hosting provider to go with, or is this hosting provider decent, or which microphone should I get? And that gave me some indication that this would be useful to some people. There is demand for something like this. That's pretty much all of the criteria that's relevant here. So yeah, that's why I decided to build this. And right at the end of January, this took me right up till the end, and I did actually have to work some late nights, which I wasn't expecting. But I launched this on the 31st, and it flopped on Product Hunt. So that's where it didn't go well. I posted it here quite late in the day, which isn't a good move on Product Hunt. It didn't make it onto the homepage, it didn't get featured. And that's disappointing, but it's just how Product Hunt works. I've had some great successes on there, but I've also posted things on there before like this that really didn't get anywhere. So it wasn't too shocking, it wasn't too disappointing, but obviously I would have preferred it if it led to more traffic. But with that being said, I also posted it on the podcasting subreddit on Reddit, and it did much better there. It got to the top of the subreddit, and even better than that, it got some really encouraging comments. A lot of people were, complimenting some of the hosting providers on there. Pinecast seemed to be super popular. But yeah, a few people actually said things like this, like great list, or this is a great resource, and that was really encouraging. And that kind of helped validate the kind of the theory that this would be useful to people, which was really great. So yeah, from that, you can see here the traffic that drove. This was from all traffic sources, but most of it did come from Reddit. As you can see here, it dwindles, after launch day, which is kind of how things tend to go. But I'm pretty happy with the numbers here. This indicates that this is at least interesting to some people. I've rambled on for long enough, I think, and I have to get back to it because I have month two's product to start working on. So yeah, I guess I'll speak to you again in 2 or 3 weeks, probably.